man, we missed the exit. Golly, it's like a constant flow of traffic.
Big city, cars everywhere. Better have your wits about you.
You guys, we've made it to Chicago and it is crazy here. I love seeing all the tall buildings, but it's a little overwhelming trying to navigate. I tried to do a little research, but we know nothing about this area. We're pretty much along the stretch by the water, like the main downtown and I guess waterfront areas. We've been looking around for parking here, trying to figure out what to do. The rates are different in different areas. We're trying to find something where we could park a little bit longer. Anyway, we have a lot to figure out. Getting here, we went through 3 different states this morning. We were in Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And we passed through a lot of neat little small towns and farms. We saw a lot of horses and horse and buggies. We went through some heavy rain. So an eventful morning, and here we are finally. So we got to figure things out.
It's easy to get overwhelmed in a big city like this, especially with van life and trying to do things on the cheap. It's interesting.
Did you tell them it's $14 an hour to park here?
Yeah, the spot that we're in currently is $14 an hour.
All right.
I guess it's a loading zone of some kind.
Okay, here's a website. I'm just gonna Google it. All right, I don't know what this means. Free overnight parking, that's a good sign. So we've both been looking at our apps on our phones, different maps, different parking apps. Steve thinks he found a reasonable place to park that's just $2 an hour. We'll see. We do have our bikes, so we can bike around, and that might be the best bet here because everything seems really expensive. So Steve had found that this parking lot was $2 an hour. We got here and it's $25 for the day, and then it says $50 for oversized vehicles. I don't know if we're considered oversized vehicle or not. I don't know why we would, but I don't know what to do now. We have no idea. On top of these issues with parking, our van thermometer actually says it's 113 degrees out. I think the forecast was for like 95, somewhere between 95 and 97 for the peak of the heat today. So maybe it's actually best that we're just driving around and checking out the city in our van. Maybe we don't want to be outside of the AC. It's probably cheaper for us to drive around than it is to park. So the good thing is, I think in the past it would have been easy for me to get panicked. Neither of us are panicked, but it's frustrating. And we realize,
take the next left
at some point, that we do need to just pay to park. But like it's 4:30 in the afternoon. I guess it's 3:30 this time zone now. We're in a different time zone. We don't want to pay $25 for the whole day when we're not even here for the whole day. So I think what makes the most sense is to try to find a meter that's like a decent hourly rate and just check things out for a few hours. We just have to figure out where to do that. Well, I jumped out of the van to get some video. I feel like getting into an oven. Dang, is it hot. So here's the view. And there's Steve waiting for me up there at the van.
So I realize I'm probably going to sound like a country boy, but that's because I am. But big city living is not for me. I doff my cap to those that do it. It's intense. Like it is just not me. So I admire people that can do it. I suppose once you get things figured out, get the lay of the land, and if you're not, especially if you're using public transportation, maybe it's a little bit easier, but just trying to find parking alone is a bit of a nightmare. Unless you want to pay $50 or whatever for a few hours. Anyway, it's a beautiful city. The architecture is amazing. Of course, right up against the water here. It's beautiful. But I'm not sure I could live in a big city like Chicago.
It feels like you could fry an egg right here. From the heat of the air, and I think the heat maybe from the van, right, getting out of the van, it's like you got hit with a heat wave. Well, this is what our time in Chicago looks like so far. Lots of traffic with cool views. So we're out at the Navy Pier now. We just checked the rates. $18 an hour. Give me the mountains or beach any day instead of the city. We probably sound like country bumpkins, but I don't know, it's all about priorities and value. I'm not gonna pay $18 to park here an hour. So we've decided that it's just okay to be driving around looking at things. It actually seems cheaper than parking and cooler since it's so hot outside. We're gonna actually head up to the Lincoln Park area. It looks like there's some cheaper parking up there though. We definitely need to make some dinner or figure out what we're doing. So that's the plan, at least for now. All right, a little bit of an update and some good news. We came up to Lincoln Park area to check that out. There's a park here, and we pulled into where the zoo was, and it was $30 to park. But we came across the street into this area of the park, and guess what? It's free.
We think so.
It
looks like it is. I mean, there's a lot of people parking here.
Yeah, and there's no meters, so it has to be free. There's no meters.
We'll have to investigate a little bit to make sure, but it does look like it's free.
So, we're in the shade. There's some boats here with water. It's crazy, like even the parks, how much traffic there is. But I think we're just gonna make some dinner and hang out for a little bit here. Take advantage of a free parking spot until we figure out what we're gonna do next.
And it's in the shade. I don't know if you already said that.
Yes, on this crazy hot day. It's still showing on our...
It says 115 on the dash now.
Yeah.
Give the van a break.
Yeah. All right. So at least we found a place to stay for a little bit.
All right, so we were just discussing kind of a game plan, or at least a loose game plan. And I think we're just gonna chill out here, make some dinner, maybe walk around a bit, and then we will play it by ear whether we will spend the night in this spot. The signs seem to read that we can. I would like to see what these other cars that are parked here, what they do throughout the evening. If they all clear out, that might be a bad sign. But I have a funny feeling that a lot of these cars are here to stay.
But why would they be spending the night overnight?
Because it's free parking.
I imagine that they're here just for the day.
So,
the park closes at 11.
yeah, the sign says the park closes at 11.
Be here longer than that, but it looks like you can be here overnight.
So, plan B would be just to hoof it over to our nearest Cracker Barrel, which I think is 30 minutes once traffic calms down.
Or in the financial district, you can park for free overnight between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m.
So we have a few options. And again, I think we're just going to play it by ear. For now, we're going to enjoy this parking spot. This long, hard fought for parking spot.
Woohoo, a parking spot. So we're not often in one spot long enough to make it worthwhile to swivel the seat around, but since we're here all evening, I guess, we're going to swivel it now. It's the first time we've done so this trip since we left Florida. Our lovely model is demonstrating how it's done. And I guess there it is. Oy. My goodness. Doing a little van cleanup. That was dirty.
It was.
We used to laugh at people who kind of talked about how dirty the van would get. And we're like, oh, it's so easy to clean up. And I guess it is kind of easy to clean up because it's small, but it is amazing how quickly it gets disgusting. Especially when you have a cat who tracks cat litter everywhere. And the funny thing is, we tried to find litter that wasn't supposed to track much. That's funny.
All right, I was curious what the temperature is reading on AccuWeather.com, and it says it's 100 degrees. And I was just doing a little bit of investigating, and I believe the record for Chicago is 100 degrees, and that was set back in 1947. So I believe we've at least tied the record high, if not exceeded it earlier today. Now, it's a little bit different. It's kind of a drier heat. It's only 61% humidity, so it helps a little bit, especially here in the shade. There's a nice breeze going. They call it the Windy City for a reason, I guess. So we're gonna make some dinner now and recharge our batteries.
Our batteries.
Our belly batteries.
Yeah, belly batteries. Alright, so here's the cooker. I think it's because it's so hot you want to do it down here.
Yeah, we'll keep the door open.
There you go.
So we're gonna try cooking some frozen beef. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. This might wind up on the recipe trash heap. We'll see how it goes.
So knowing we'd probably have some disgusting trash sometimes, I kept the cat food bag, thinking we could put some nasty trash in there, and then just dump it later. So our plan really wasn't to cook with this kind of meat. We were at my dad's, gosh, it's been like, what, 2 weeks ago now? And we thought we were gonna do a Mexican dinner for him, so we got the frozen stuff because we thought it'd be easier to transport when we were at the grocery store and then get into his place, but then we never used it. I was hoping that our freezer would actually keep the stuff frozen. It was only like partially frozen. Like half of it was frozen, half of it was a little bit soft. So I'm really hoping that it's all still okay to cook with and it doesn't make us sick. I guess we'll find out. This is definitely not quite ideal, especially since it's not thawed. We have a few challenges. Number one, we actually left our spatula back in New York, so now we have to use a plastic spoon. And then with the meat not being defrosted already, that's going to be a challenge to cook. So we'll see how it goes.
Kind of challenging using a spoon as a spatula.
Well, Steve has the challenge of cooking up the meat. I'm going to chop up some vegetables to put on our Mexican stuff. We've got the some cutting boards right here that we've cut up. On a hot day like this, we would usually not be cooking like this, but we were really afraid that if we didn't use up the meat soon, that it would not be good to use because of it not being fully frozen. And we figured out a nice place to keep our spices. They're all up here in the top shelf of our cabinet, and they fit perfectly in these little containers that we got from Walmart. All right, and dinner is served. It doesn't look too bad. Looks kind of tasty, I think.
Yummy, yummy.
A nice dinner in this 100-degree weather. It's crazy.
I think it turned out pretty good as far as the van recipes go. It just took a while. It took about 50 minutes to make. So
15?
50.
5
to 0. So use a lot of propane to cook it.
It would have helped if we had thawed it first, probably. Just a couple notes about cleanup in the van and storing food. One thing we always do is wipe out our dishes when we're done, so there's not a bunch of gunk that goes down into the gray water tank. Also, we have found that these black containers sit really perfectly in our fridge and our freezer, so they come in really handy, and then they all stack together nicely too to store them in the cupboard. So just that little bit of information for you. Fly number 1, fly number 2, fly number 3. One thing you definitely need in the van, a fly swatter.
My ankles paid the price making this dinner tonight. So Audra had a pretty good idea about throwing on our swimsuits and see if we can find a place to swim. Not sure how far we are from the beach. Might be a good half mile, but it's worth the effort. It's hot.
I think we're gonna score. I think we're gonna get to swim. I have a good feeling. This is cool. Little did we know we were so close to all this. Man, we should have brought our raft. These people had the right idea. What do you think? So there's ladders that go down?
Yep, so we have to see how cold the water is.
I feel better than this hot air. So what do you think? Should I jump in without seeing what the water's like?
I don't know. How is it?
That was fun. Good. Feels really good.
Very nice.
Did it make it worth it coming out here to the city?
Oh yeah. Kind of makes up for the real hot afternoon driving around. Now we can say we swam in Lake Michigan.
Yeah. Tune in next time to see part 2 of our time in Chicago, when Steve makes a new friend. As always, thanks for joining us on our adventure. See you next time.